My boss leaned forward, his voice low but sharp. You either do what I'm asking, or you can clean out your desk by Friday. I could feel my heart pounding. I had bills to pay, a family to care for, and the thought of walking out of that office without a job terrified me. But deep down, I knew one thing. No job was worth losing Jehovah's approval. Hi friends, before I share the full story, I just want to thank all of you who have subscribed and supported this channel. You are the reason I keep sharing these real-life faith-strengthening stories. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next inspiring and dramatic story that could help strengthen your faith. The pressure begins. My name is Michael. I'm 42 years old, born and raised in a small town in Ohio, USA. I've been married to my wife Sarah for 15 years. We have 2 kids, Emma, 13, and Luke, 9. We live a modest life, nothing fancy, but we've always felt rich in the ways that matter, in love, peace, and our service to Jehovah. I've been working in logistics for most of my adult life. 2 years ago, I landed what I thought was my dream job, a warehouse manager for a mid-sized distribution company. The pay was good, the benefits decent, and for the first time, we could breathe financially. We even managed to take the kids to the beach last summer, a first for our family. But everything changed the day our company got a new regional manager, a man named Steve Carter. He was sharp-dressed, confident, and had a reputation for getting results, no matter the cost. At first I thought he was just another ambitious boss, but I quickly learned he was the kind of man who measured loyalty by how far you were willing to bend the rules. It started small. One afternoon, Steve walked into my office with a stack of invoices. These need to be signed off today, he said. Even if the goods haven't arrived yet, just put your initials, and I'll take care of the rest. I hesitated. But that's not accurate. The deliveries aren't in yet. He smirked. Michael, this is how we keep the numbers looking good for corporate. No one gets hurt, and trust me, everyone does it. Something about his tone made my stomach knot. I thought about Ephesians 4:25. Now that you have put away falsehood, speak the truth each one of you with his neighbor. I politely told him I'd rather wait until the goods arrived before signing. He didn't push that time, but I saw the flicker of annoyance in his eyes. Over the next few weeks, the requests became more frequent and more compromising. Steve wanted me to approve overtime records for workers who hadn't clocked in, to overlook safety violations, and eventually to schedule mandatory Saturday shifts. That last one hit me hard. Our Saturday mornings are precious, ministry time, a chance to share Bible truths and encourage others. I've always guarded that time for my family and for Jehovah. But Steve didn't care. Saturday is just another workday in my book, he said during a staff meeting. If anyone has a problem with that, they can find another job. When I got home that night, Sarah could see the weight on my shoulders. What happened? She asked, as she set down a cup of tea in front of me. I told her everything. She listened quietly, her eyes full of concern. Michael, I know it's scary to think about losing this job, she said softly, but Jehovah has always taken care of us. Remember Matthew 6:33. Keep on then, seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. If we trust him, he won't let us down. I nodded, but inside I was torn. I thought about the mortgage, the kids' school expenses, the medical bills we were still paying off from last year. Could I really risk all that over a matter my boss might call minor? A week later, Steve called me into his office. He closed the door and sat across from me, leaning forward. Michael, I've been patient, but this is the deal. You start playing ball, or you start packing your things. I need to know by Friday. My chest tightened. The clock had started ticking. I had 3 days to decide between my job and my faith, and I knew, whichever choice I made would change my life forever. That night after Steve's ultimatum, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Sarah was asleep beside me, her breathing slow and steady, but my mind was racing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Steve's face, confident, almost daring me to defy him. I turned over and whispered a prayer into the darkness. Jehovah, please give me the strength to do what's right. I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I can't do this without you. Over the next couple of days, I tried to keep my head clear. I went to work, did my job, avoided unnecessary conversations, but that deadline loomed over me, like a storm cloud. I pored over scriptures, reading the accounts of faithful ones who stood firm under pressure. Daniel in the lion's den, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego before the fiery furnace. Daniel 3:16, Meshach 18 hit me the hardest. We will not serve your gods, and if it must be, our God whom we are serving is able to rescue us. But even if he does not, let it become known that we will not serve your gods. I thought about those men, young, far from home, standing up to the most powerful king of their time. My boss wasn't a king, but to me, his power felt real. He could take away my paycheck, my security, the stability my family depended on. One evening, Sarah and I sat at the kitchen table, bills spread out in front of us. What if I lose this job? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She took my hand. Then we adjust. We've done it before. Michael, I married you because of the kind of man you are, one who puts Jehovah first. Don't let fear change that. Her words steadied me, but the human part of me still felt the pull of compromise. My coworkers noticed my mood, and a few of them pulled me aside. Mike, listen, one of them said, just sign the papers, work the Saturdays for a while, and once things calm down, you can go back to your regular schedule. Don't throw away your career over something small. That's how they saw it. But I knew that once you start bending Jehovah's standards, it's never just once. By Thursday night, my heart was set. I prayed again, longer this time. I poured everything out to Jehovah. My fears, my needs, my hope that he would give me peace, no matter what happened. I went to bed calm for the first time that week. Friday morning came, and I walked into Steve's office before he could call me in. He looked up from his computer, clearly surprised. Michael, so what's it going to be? His tone was sharp, but almost casual, like he already knew my answer. I took a deep breath. Steve, I appreciate this job. I appreciate the opportunities I've had here, but I can't do what you're asking. It would go against my Bible-based beliefs. I won't lie on reports. I won't work during my worship times. I can't compromise on that. For a moment there was silence. Then he leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. You realize what you're saying. You're choosing church over your career. I met his gaze. I'm choosing my God over everything else. He shook his head slowly, almost pitying me. Well, in that case, you can pack your things. HR will have your paperwork ready in an hour. I walked out of that office with my stomach in knots. My hands were trembling. I'd done it. I'd taken my stand, and lost my job in the process. The hallway felt longer than usual, as I made my way back to my desk. Each step seemed to echo the reality of what had just happened. I packed my belongings, a couple of framed family photos, my Bible, some pens and a coffee mug Emma had painted for me in school. As I carried the box to my car, I felt a strange mix of emotions, fear, sadness, but also a deep, unshakable peace. I didn't know what came next, but I knew I had made the right choice. That afternoon, I drove home to tell Sarah. The kids were still at school. She listened quietly, then wrapped her arms around me. We'll be okay, Michael. Jehovah won't forget this. Her words stayed with me, even when the bills started piling up. The first week after losing my job felt like a blur. I woke up early out of habit, but instead of heading to the warehouse, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring out the window. Sarah tried to keep my spirits up, but I could see the concern in her eyes. We started making immediate adjustments. We canceled cable TV, switched to the cheapest phone plan, cut back on eating out completely. Even simple things like the kids' after-school activities had to be put on hold. Still, the bills didn't stop coming. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries. Every envelope that came in the mail felt like another weight pressing down on my chest. And then came the whispers. Some relatives, even well-meaning friends, started asking the same question: was it worth it? One cousin told me flat out, "Mike, you're being stubborn. God would understand if you did what you had to do to feed your family." But I kept going back to Acts 5:29. We must obey God as ruler, rather than men. That scripture wasn't just ink on paper for me anymore. It was my anchor. One Wednesday evening, I went to the Kingdom Hall for our midweek meeting. I didn't feel like going. Honestly, part of me just wanted to stay home and sulk. But I knew that being with the congregation would help. After the meeting, Brother Davis, an older elder, walked over to me. "Michael," he said, "I heard about what happened. I want you to know how much your stand is encouraging the rest of us. You've shown that integrity isn't just something we talk about, it's something we live." His words lit something inside me. For the first time in days, I felt that what I had lost didn't compare to what I had kept. My clean conscience before Jehovah. The next few weeks were hard. I applied for jobs online, went to interviews, but nothing seemed to work out. Either the pay was too low to cover basic expenses, or the hours would interfere with meetings and ministry. The temptation to just accept anything grew stronger. One night, after another rejection email, I sat on the couch with Sarah. "I don't know how much longer we can keep this up," I admitted. She put her hand on mine. "We'll keep it up as long as Jehovah wants us to. Remember Psalm 55:22. Throw your burden on Jehovah, and he will sustain you. We're not carrying this alone." The very next morning, my phone rang. It was Mark, a brother from the congregation, who owned a small delivery business. "Michael," he said, "I need someone reliable to handle warehouse and dispatch for me. It's not a huge operation, but I can offer steady hours and a decent wage. Best part, you'll be off by 4 p.m. every day. Plenty of time for meetings and ministry." I almost dropped the phone. We met later that day, and he explained the work. It wasn't glamorous, and the pay was a little less than my old job. But it was honest work, no compromise, no pressure to bend Jehovah's laws. And Mark made it clear he respected my need to keep spiritual priorities first. When I told Sarah, she broke into tears. "See," she said, smiling through them, "Jehovah really does provide." That weekend, I started my new job. It felt different walking into a place where my beliefs weren't a problem, where my employer was actually happy for me to be involved in my worship. I realized then, maybe I hadn't lost everything. Maybe I had lost the wrong things, and gained something far better. It had been 3 months since I started working for Mark's delivery company, and life looked completely different. The pay was steady, the hours were predictable, and for the first time in years, I wasn't coming home stressed or worn out. I could eat dinner with Sarah and the kids without rushing through it. I could prepare for meetings without feeling like my mind was still trapped at work. I could join in more field service, even take Emma and Luke with me in the afternoons. One evening after dinner, Sarah and I sat out on the porch, watching the kids play in the yard. The summer air was warm, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly at peace. "Do you realize," Sarah said, "if you had given in to Steve, we wouldn't be here right now. We'd still be trapped in that cycle of stress, compromise, and fear. Instead, look at what Jehovah gave us." I nodded, thinking about Psalm 37:25. "I have not seen anyone righteous abandoned, nor his children looking for bread." When I lost my job, I thought we were about to fall apart. But in reality, Jehovah was just moving us to a better place. The blessings didn't stop there. A few months later, Mark's business expanded, and he offered me a promotion, still with hours that allowed me to keep my worship first. And because I had been able to take on more ministry, I was even able to start a Bible study with one of our regular return visits. I thought back to that day in Steve's office, when my hands were shaking, and my voice was barely steady. I had no idea then that Jehovah was already working behind the scenes, that what looked like the end was really a beginning. Sometimes, Jehovah doesn't remove the trial immediately, but he will always make sure we have the strength to endure it. And the blessings that follow are often bigger than we could have imagined. If you're watching this and you're facing pressure, maybe from your job, your school, your family, to compromise your faith, I want you to remember something. You're not standing alone. Jehovah sees you. He knows the sacrifice you're making, and he will never forget it. Stay strong. Keep putting his kingdom first. Even if you lose something now, Jehovah can replace it with something far better, something that gives you peace, joy, and a clean conscience. And when that blessing comes, you'll look back and say what I can say today: it was worth it.